Using the Adobe Camera Raw filter in Photoshop is literally one of the best things you can do for your starless Astro images to just make everything just come to life. There is just no way that you can mess anything up at all. You have infinite controls inside of the software, and I guarantee it will make your images better. So if you do not have Photoshop on top of PIXINSIGHT, I know it's definitely something you could consider. I'm going to show you how it all works right now. This will be part of a bigger video that I've done on my entire M45 process. So my name is Chad. This is the Easy Astro Images channel. We are going to collect some photons today. So here we are with our starless image opened up inside Adobe Photoshop, and pretty simple to do this stuff. It's super easy. We just click on filter and click on camera raw filter, and this is what we're going to get. So we're going to get this big screen that's going to pop up with our image here. And now at this point, there's literally nothing you can do on these sliders that you cannot undo. But there's almost no slider that's not going to affect your image in a positive way. And there's no right or wrong to doing this. And you'll see that in this demonstration. So we've got these little tabs over here that we can just click on and stuff. And we'll just start with the basic tab here. Like we've got temperature and tint. Not really going to mess with that yet. Everything's looking pretty good. We know we're color balanced. There's our histogram up here and all that stuff. You know, the first thing we can do is, let's just see what happens if we start adding some exposure. So we can see that right away we've got all kinds of good stuff popping out, but we're overexposing in certain areas and all that stuff. I definitely want to add a little bit to this. It's just a little bit more granular control. So we'll just leave it right there at 0.3. Let's see what happens when we start adjusting this contrast slider. So the contrast slider, as you can see, if we increase it, it's kind of darkening up our background and stuff for us a little bit. So I think we definitely want that. That's going to be a good thing. And we don't want to overdo it. 10 looks good to me. When it comes to the highlight slider, you can see that that's going to increase the highlights a little bit. So if you blew things a little bit out when you increase the exposure, we can just kind of drop that back down a little bit. And I'm going to drop that down to like, say, -25. I think that looks pretty good right there. The shadow slider, play with that. Not really doing a whole lot for me. Maybe we'll just put it at like +5. Our whites, again, it's kind of just, we could take a little bit of that out there so it can kind of bring out a little bit more of the blue here. And then our black slider, again, it's just kind of like controlling the overall brightness of the image. Let's just go ahead and put that at 10. I think that looks good there. So hopefully you're following me and you see just how big of an impact we made just already just playing with some sliders. It's like stupid easy. So we'll get rid of the basic tab here. Going to curves, we can start playing with highlights and stuff like that again. And this is like all to taste. You can see that it's kind of putting like a little S curve down there at the end. Not really doing a whole lot for me, so I'm not going to do anything with that. The light, it's not really doing a whole lot for me either, so we'll just put that back to 0. Darks, see if we lift the darks a little bit. How about like a +3? Shadows, again, just kind of undoing what we've already done, but making stuff stand out a little bit more. So we'll put that at like let's do like the -4. So that looks good on curves. Detail. So this is when we can actually sharpen and do stuff like that. And you want to kind of zoom in a little bit if you want to by clicking on things. You don't want to over sharpen because you're just going to totally just wreck everything. But, I definitely like to sharpen the image up a little bit. So we'll just add a little bit to it there. We can add some extra noise reduction. You can see how it kind of just blurs all that stuff out and just kind of cleans things up a little bit. I like a little bit of noise in my image. I'm not going to completely take out all of the grain, but definitely can do some color noise reduction. You can see what that's going to do, but we don't want to be like super heavy handed with it. So again, we'll just kind of like do like a little bit, like maybe a 15. And there's the image right there. think it's looking a little soft, so I'm going to lower that noise reduction to 15. That makes me pretty happy right there. Color grading, color mixer. You can play with this stuff like all day long. I'm good with the color right here. We'll do some more of that stuff here in I believe it is not optics, but maybe calibration. What am I looking for here? Now, if we go back up to the basic tab here, we didn't do anything with all these sliders down here. So we've got texture, clarity, dehaze, vibrance, and saturation. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add a little bit of vibrance to it. You can see that if we go all the way over or all the way down, you know, none of that's going to work. So we can just kind of find that nice fine line on everything, you know, where we're getting really good pop in our colors. And you can see I'm being pretty heavy-handed with it there at 50. We've got some crazy blues and purples and browns and stuff coming out, and you know, I really like all of that color that I see. We'll dial it back to like a 30 because we also have the saturation slider down here that will just bring in even more of that stuff. In fact, we probably only want to bring in just a tad bit of saturation. So I'm going to leave the saturation there at +4. That looks good to me. Texture, we can add in some grain and all that kind of stuff. Not going to add a lot of that in. That's kind of just like, you know, falsifying the image a little bit. So that looks good to me. Clarity, again, it's kind of the same thing. It's kind of like doing some blurring and sharpening and all that kind of stuff. I think a little bit will help us out. We'll just kind of put it at like 10, you know, just all these like subtle adjustments. And I really never used the dehaze function at all. So that's pretty much going to be it for the Adobe Camera Raw. I'm pretty freaking stoked about that. And so we can just go ahead and click on OK. And then if we want to, we can actually cycle back and forth between the two. So this is our after and that is before. And so you can see how we just pop everything out. We add a ton of saturation all throughout the image and just kind of enhance the detail on everything. And I am super duper happy with that. And that is just the easiest thing to do ever. So I think that you guys can get the drift that you can sit here and play with these sliders all day long. You're going to have a blast. And now when you're done with this, all you do is save this as a TIFF, bring it back into PIXINSIGHT, and then go ahead and add your stars back off, finish it off, do whatever you want to do. And again, that will be part of the larger M45 processing video that we are working on. So I hope you guys enjoyed this little Adobe Camera Raw explanation, demonstration, whatever, and you can see just how powerful it is and how easy it is. And just, it would take you a long time to do a lot of this stuff in PIXINSIGHT, and you can see that in 5 minutes we improved our image like 500%. So we will talk to you guys later. Hope you all are having a good day. Peace.